Hello and welcome to the Q&A for Unclenching the Fists by co-writer and director Kira Kovalenko. We are joined here by Kira Kovalenko, as well as producer Alexander Rodnyansky and the translator Ivan. Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, thanks for inviting us.
Kira, this is your first time meeting the Toronto audiences, so I'd like to give us a chance to first introduce yourself, please.
Кира, ты впервые разговариваешь со зрителями в Торонто, и поэтому я хотел бы, чтобы ты сначала представилась и сказала несколько слов о себе.
Я родилась на юге России, на Северном Кавказе, в небольшом городе Нальчик.
Hello, my name is Kira. I was born in North Caucasus region of Russia, in a small city of Nalchik.
Мое обучение прошло тоже в Нальчике. Это была мастерская Александра Николаевича Сокурова.
I studied under Russian director Alexander Sokurov in Nalchik as well.
Я смешанных национальностей, и мне всегда было интересно снять фильм в Осетии, потому что у меня есть родные братья в Осетии.
I come from a mixed ethnical background and was always fascinated by that. And I always wanted to explore this topic in film. And so I wanted to make a film about Ossetia and in Ossetian language, because I have relatives, I have brothers who are Ossetian.
Я не знаю, что еще сказать.
Alexander?
I'm actually producer. I'm seasoned filmmaker, experienced for years. I've been privileged to be invited to Toronto many times. I've been coming here with the movies. I've been a part of the movies of Andrei Zvyagintsev, of Kantemir Balagov, and a few other films. And I know how important for filmmakers in general and young filmmakers, upcoming filmmakers, as Kira is, to have such an extraordinary opportunity to explore the audience in Toronto and to get the chance to introduce the first, or in case of Kira, the second film, to such a sophisticated audience as this city has and this festival enjoys working with.
So, as Alexander just mentioned, Kira, this is your second film after Sofichka. Can you please tell us how the idea for the script came to be?
Кира, как только что сказал Александр Ефимович, это твой второй фильм после «Софички». Не могла бы ты рассказать, как именно тебе пришла в голову идея для этой истории?
Для первой или для второй?
Для второй.
Первым импульсом была небольшая фраза из романа Фолкнера. Это фраза о том, что не каждый может не все могут выдержать рабство, но никто не может. Не каждый может выдержать рабство, но никто не может выдержать свободу.
My initial inspiration came from Faulkner's novel Intruder in the Dust, about how while some people can endure slavery, nobody can endure freedom, and freedom can be a burden.
Следующим шагом я обычно всегда ищу сначала место, где происходит действие фильма. И я долго смотрела разные места и нашла этот город Мизур и поехала в него.
And the second part of my creative process is always to find the place where my story will take place. And I was searching for it for a long time. I visited quite a few cities until I finally found this place, this small town of Mizur, and I went there.
И я ходила по этому городу, наблюдала за людьми и думала о том, какая история могла родиться в этом месте.
And I spent time there. I was walking around the streets of Mizur, observing people and thinking about what kind of story can take place here.
И уже исходя из того, что само место это было как герой, частью фильма, как герой фильма.
And the place itself, the city itself, is a character in the film.
Это сильно отразилось на том, что происходит с героями.
And it had a certain effect to a larger degree on what happens to my characters.
You mentioned in your introduction the region you're from, which I understand is a neighboring region. And in the film, we have the backdrop of the 2004 Beslan siege. And as I understood from your answer just now, this was something that was felt in the region. Did that come up naturally, or was it your idea previously to have the backdrop of the film be the crisis?
Важная тема для фильма — это трагедия Беслана. Ты изначально задумывала историю, которая как бы произрастает из этой трагедии, которая оказала влияние на весь регион? Или это получилось случайно?
Ну, я в первую очередь хотела бы сказать, что все-таки кино — это художественный вымысел, и он строится из моего личного опыта или опыта, который я приобретаю.
It is important for me to begin answering this question by saying that the film is a work of fiction, and it is mostly based on my personal experience and my personal feelings.
И Кавказ — это довольно сложный регион с большой историей, и я смотрела в год рождения моей героини, это был 1998 год, и смотрела количество происшествий и терактов, которые происходили на Северном Кавказе с ее рождения. И в Осетии было огромное количество терактов, больше, чем в каком-либо другом месте.
So North Caucasus is a very complex and complicated region, and it has a very long history. And when I came up with my story, I looked at the year my character was born, and it was 1988. And then I looked at all terror attacks that happened afterwards. And there were a lot of them, and a lot of them happened in Ossetia.
И все мое детство и юность, я не могу вспомнить месяцев, в котором не происходило терактов.
And when I think about my personal history, I cannot remember a month from my childhood or my youth which was spent without a terror attack of some sort.
И скорее это больше тема раны, она затрагивает не только каких-то конкретную ситуацию, а она более общая.
So for me, this wound that she has is comes from a more general experience, not from a specific attack.
Interesting. Well, Milana Aguzarova is phenomenal as Ada. Can you tell us about casting her and how you worked with her to prepare for the role?
Милана совершенно потрясающая в роли Ады. Не могла бы ты немножко рассказать, как ты ее выбрала и как вы готовились с ней к этой роли?
На самом деле я изначально хотела ее пригласить на другую роль, и она пришла на пробы. Мы попробовались, ничего не получилось, и через какое-то время я решила пригласить ее еще раз, уже на главную роль. И из-за того, что я видела в ней и очень большую слабость и силу, я выбрала ее.
Originally, I was thinking about Milana for a different role, and she actually went and auditioned, and it didn't work out. She was not good in that role. But then I thought about her and realized that I saw in her both the vulnerability and the incredible strength. And I invited her again to casting, and this is how I chose her.
И в ней я увидела в ней такую дуальность, и у нас долгое время ничего не получалось, и она мне говорила о том, что, наверное, я не та девушка, которую вы ищете, у меня не получается. И я просила ее, и она пробовала еще раз и еще раз. Это говорило о том, что она готова на большой труд.
I saw originally duality in her, like fragileness and the strength, but we tried, and it never really worked in the beginning, but she was ready to try again and again, and I saw that she was how much she was willing to work and how hard she was willing to work.
Well, on the topic of emerging talent, I want to talk to Alexander for a moment. Alexander, you reminded us in the introduction that you've had many Tiff films over the years, and I've noticed that recently you especially work with a lot of emerging talent in Russia. Can you tell us about scouting directors in Russia and what that process is like?
No, it's not an easy process, but I'm particularly interested in emerging talents. I love to work with the young filmmakers because I do believe in their future. I do believe in the future of new Russian cinema. It's not necessarily just Russian cinema, but when we speak about the film like Kira's one, it's Russian cinema. I do believe that Russian cinema needs new blood, fresh blood, fresh understanding of the contemporary world, the new take of reality. And I do appreciate what Alexander Sokurov, the great filmmaker I have been privileged of working with as a producer, did with his workshop on North Caucasus. This filmmaker has been brave and, and I would say did a sacrifice actually of his time to come from the city of St. Petersburg, where he is residing, where he lives, to North Caucasus, to the city of Nalchik, to find, a couple of dozens talented people there. I never had any idea of being filmmakers. They've been watching movies. I never had a chance to start studying under these, under such a filmmaker of doing movies. And he found these young filmmakers with an idea to bring life in the culture of that particular region and in Russian cinema as well. So I've enjoyed the first movie of Kantemir Balagov, Tesnata, Closeness. I was impressed very much. I thought it's very important to have such a young filmmaker talking on such important issues. And I looked at his classmates, and Kira, with her film Sofichka, the first movie she did, was the first student of Sokurov who did the film that I liked as well very much. I knew immediately that she is going to be an extremely important voice to be heard. And we started working together, and I've been trying to support her in fighting her, story and bring her the support and making this film actually making this film happen. So a part of that, of course, I did another few movies with the young filmmakers, and I do believe this is, as I mentioned already, this is extremely important because Russia is a country very well known by its, talents, but it always needs to be these talents always need to be identified and supported. That's what I strongly believe. And being already quite an experienced filmmaker, I'm trying to do my best to have these filmmakers tell their stories in their own unique way, like Kira did.
Can you give us a little more insight into what it's like to finance emerging films in Russia? What are the challenges?
It's always challenging, actually, especially when you never use state financing. I don't usually use state financing, especially for independent dramas, because I do believe in the power of independent voice. I don't want these filmmakers to be thinking on what is possible to say and to consider the certain borders, limitations, or boundaries not to be crossed. That's why I personally, I do believe that my experience and trust that I have from the investors community gives me a unique chance to support the young filmmakers with the private financing and with the with the financing from the company I run and own in a much better and effective way than to approach the state Ministry of Culture or Film Fund, which are very well, I would say, very effective players on the Russian market, and practically at that particular moment is the #1 choice for all young filmmakers to approach. So generally, they do a very good job, but as I said, this is not my way of doing these movies. I want them, the young filmmakers I'm honored to work with, I want them to feel themselves independent.
Thank you. Kira, perhaps you understood a little bit, but Alexander said many wonderful things about you. We're going to come back to you now with some questions.
Кира, может быть, ты поняла что-нибудь из того, что сказал Александр Ефимович, но если нет, то он говорил очень много и очень хорошо именно о тебе.
I'd love to know what inspires you as an artist and what your days are like right now.
И я хотел бы вернуться к разговору с тобой. Что вдохновляет тебя как художника и как сейчас выглядят твои повседневные дни?
Ну, я вдохновляюсь литературой.
What inspires me most is literature.
И документальным кино.
Literature and documentary films.
Конечно, игровым тоже, но я смотрю довольно редко.
Fiction as well, but I tend to not see a lot of genre films, mostly documentaries.
И сейчас я просто в состоянии набора себя, как бы попытка наполнить себя заново для следующей работы.
And right now, my life is me trying to fill myself with new experiences and thoughts for my next film.
Can you tell us a little about the situation? I don't know exactly where in Russia you're calling from, but of course we have the global health crisis. Are you able to go to galleries? Are you able to spend time with other artists, or are you quite isolated right now?
Dorota Curie is not in Russia right now.
Ah.
She's in Canada.
What? Are you in Toronto? Oh, I hope we will see you in Toronto, though. That's very exciting. Are you preparing for the Russian release from Canada, or will you be returning? Because I understand the film opens quite soon in Russia, yes?
Ты вернешься в Россию к выходу своего фильма?
Да, конечно.
Yes, I will be back in Russia.
Через несколько дней буду в России.
In a few days, I will be in Russia.
I'm sorry, we'll miss you at the festival then.
Им жаль, что ты не попадешь на фестиваль, но ты же...
Возможно, я буду.
Yes, but maybe Kira will come to the festival.
I sincerely hope so. I was under the impression that you were far away, so this is really exciting.
Это очень здорово, потому что я была в абсолютной уверенности, что ты где-то очень-очень далеко.
Kira is not in Toronto. Kira is in Calgary on the set of the show.
Quite far away
That's
from.
why she's kind of, quite far away from Toronto.
Well, I'm glad at least our Toronto audiences could meet you a little bit, even though you're not calling from here. And I hope you will join us in the city. We'll see what we can do.
Я очень рада, что мы поговорили и что зрители в Торонто имели возможность познакомиться с тобой. Очень надеюсь, что ты приедешь на фестиваль.
Спасибо большое.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Alexander.
Thank you very much, Dorota. It was a pleasure talking to you.